Hello again. This is another video or another installment of the tiny cabin. Um, as you can see here from the last video, there's been a lot of work going on once again. As I mentioned last time, I really wasn't going to do another video until the siding was up. Well, the siding is up. There's a couple of finishing touches to do here and there on the siding. For one, do some caulking, caulking around the trim and around the seams there a little bit. There's also some staining to do, staining, or if you want to say weather treatment. I'm sure maybe you can tell here from this video. The front of the cabin has sealer or stain on the cedar, and the sides, for the most part of the cabin, do not. And the reason they don't is just with the time constraints, trying to get this cabin done and move it along. It's just myself out here working on the cabin between work or after work and on some weekends here and there. I just wanted to get the siding up to get that done so I can move on to my a little bit more framing on the inside and some electrical and plumbing. That way I can get this cabin ready. And I need to put my front porch back together as well too, and also build a back porch, get it ready for the next inspection. The next inspection is going to be looking at the rough wiring, rough electrical, rough plumbing, and the framing. So the siding, from what I know, I really didn't have to do for this inspection, but I just wanted to get it done, get the cabin as weather tight as possible. And with the temperatures here too, we were fortunate enough to have some cooler temperatures the last couple weeks, but today, once again, the humidity is back and the overall temperature is back too. So, but anyhow, with all that, we're going to do a quick walk around the cabin, and I can point a couple things out. So here we are, obviously on one of the sides here of the cabin. As you can see, there's a color difference there. That bottom board there was treated and the sideboards weren't, as you can tell. Same as the siding, as I mentioned. Now I went ahead, and I've got pictures to go along with this, I went ahead and dropped my boards there off the roof, off the edge of the roof that I was using as kind of a makeshift scaffolding or plank there to walk back and forth on. I wanted to get those off there. They were great help and great use. But wanted to get those off of there just so I can get everything boxed in and as close as done on the outside as possible, and I did that. What I did here, I was going to put cedar up, cedar boards there for along the eaves and the soffit, but decided not to once I started figuring out the cost. It was going to cost me about roughly $500 for the boards, where the comparably for weather treated pine, it cost me roughly anywhere between 120 to maybe 130. So a good savings there. That, and with that as well too, is I may end up wrapping at least the eave there with a piece of metal trim that I can have specifically made at a metal shop to come there around and kind of serve there as the water with that, because there's a couple seams there with the boards when I put them in and installed them. So get some caulk in there, maybe there's metal pieces as well too, just to help that, another barrier there to the elements. But see if you can get a good look here, a fairly decent look here at my vents, my soffit vent there. These vents are just the ones you buy at any one of the box stores. They have white ones there and these brown ones. Well, these brown ones happen to be discontinued, which was good for me because I didn't really want white ones anyhow, kind of more so wanted the brown ones. So I got these. They came in 8-foot sections, just a piece of tin, with the holes in it. I paid maybe $1.60 per piece compared to the white ones that were probably a little over $5 per piece. So those are in, and I also too on these boards, another thing I did too, took a little bit more time, was I used screws. I used almost like a deck screw, shorter deck screw. And the reason I did that, and I kind of recessed those screws, the reason I did that is if I ever have to get back up on that roof, anytime in the near future, because it's got such a pitch to it and everything else, that I can, if I really wanted to, I could drop those boards off there with not too much effort, you know, just with those screws, drop everything off. Build my scaffolding or my boards back up there and get a ladder up there and get on the roof and do whatever maintenance I need to do in the future. But I don't plan on having to do any maintenance, you know, anywhere near in the future. So, but you know, it's just one thing I, you know, thought I may add, take the time to add that may help out in the future. So, take a look here at the back. Here's the back of it, and got that all boarded up, all sealed up. Got a couple boards up there that are untreated. I need to brush some sealer on those as well. And then, as you see, I still need to build a porch for out here. So, and with that, I'm going to have a little bit of brush here to clear and some things to clean up and try to make some room there. But another thing I did here too when I sided it was, and hopefully this worked out how I did it, but I've got this little board, this little vertical board. It's like an 8-inch wide cedar board there as a up and down, and that's where I plan on mounting my light, the outdoor light. So, and I did kind of the same thing to the front of the cabin as well. Just give a flat surface there to kind of, you know, mount that fixture too. But I still need to figure out, kind of got a little ahead of myself when I was getting this siding on, and I should have done kind of the same thing for outside electrical outlet, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Here coming up next shortly, we'll be starting on the electrical and starting on the plumbing. So, but we'll figure that out once we get there, and I'll share that with you guys and gals. And here's the other side. This side's just got 2 windows. This back window here is the one I'm showing you now is the bathroom. And that front window is part of the living area. The back window on the other side was the bedroom. So, and eventually we'll get more video. As we wrap up the outside, we'll get more video on the inside as we move along in there. So, but you know, I'm going to incorporate quite a few things in there that are kind of trending now with different homes, not only because they're trending, but things that I like myself as well, but some of which may be, you know, kind of those barn doors. But with that, I plan on making my own hardware, fabricating my own hardware for those doors, and building my own doors potentially, depending on what I can find at we have it's called a Habitat Restore, Habitat for Humanity, where you can go buy salvaged construction materials. And if I can find some suitable doors there for a decent price, I may just go with those. Because, you know, at the end of it, you know, if the doors still, if you like the doors and the way they look, and if they save you a whole bunch of time and don't really cost you any more money, then, you know, sometimes, you know, it's just well worth it. Just go ahead and get those doors, you know, if you like them anyhow, and that also goes for a good cause, because it helps that program out immensely. But one thing I need to do yet here along the sides is I'm going to put a piece of kind of almost a piece of drip edge in here, because up underneath this siding here, sorry, there you go, where I'm pointing, there's a little bit of vapor barrier hanging out there. I want to put a piece of metal, that way as the water runs off this edge here and kind of laps over, that it's not soaking into the sheathing, but it kind of catches that metal and just rolls right down off the metal. And these are weather treated, pressure treated timber. So, but yeah, definitely moving along. You know, it's had its, you know, once again, as I've probably mentioned before a couple times, it's definitely had its challenges, but it also has its rewards, and also has its, you know, you're learning, you know, you're learning, and you know, one of the great things about learning is it's just one more thing that you can pass on to someone else. Someone else may be trying to do the same thing. You say, oh, here, I've done this before, let me show you how. Or let me, you know, or maybe they're doing just fine with it, but, you know, you can, you know, maybe just make their life a little bit easier. So, but anyhow, And one thing too I hear recently invested in is a table saw. Not because I necessarily wanted to go out and spend the money, but when you're, sorry for using those butts in there, I apologize. While you're doing a project like this, you'll find yourself needing a random width of board. And it's so much easier, instead of, having to go somewhere and have it milled or search for that board at one of those stores, to be able to buy a board, bring it home. And sometimes you could get, 3 or 4 of those oddball sized pieces of wood you need out of one board. And before you know it, you've saved yourself a ton of money and a ton of time. And, well, there's something to be said about being able to do something, do something on your own, for yourself. The table saw itself only, it's probably a starter one. It only, I think it costs maybe $140, $150. But what? For what I'm doing right now, it has served a purpose, and throughout the rest of this build, it will continue to serve a purpose and pay for itself. So, but with that, I hope all you out there who have, watched these videos, and whether you want to do something like this or you just kind of watch it to learn something or, entertainment value, I sincerely hope you've learned something, and that somehow what I'm doing is benefiting someone else as well. So, but I can tell you this, with the neighbors around here and all, I've definitely had a lot of interest. A lot of people express their interest. And not so much, wanting to build like this, just, wanting to stop by and say hey, introduce themselves, and see what's going on, and, see how it's shaping up and coming along. And I just had an older gentleman I'd never met before, and he does a lot of plumbing work. And he's probably almost 70 years old, and he's lived in this area for a very long time. Just gave me a few pointers here, asked him a few questions here about my plumbing, and I even kind of offered the plumbing to him, but he was like, yeah, I really just kind of take smaller jobs, which I understand, I get and everything, but his help and his advice and his knowledge is definitely welcomed, and it will definitely help me as I move along. Well, with that, hope everyone out there is doing well, and keep looking for these videos. They're going to keep coming. Once again, there's going to be a web page, and there's going to be a lot of pictures to go along with it, and some information, and I'll put more information in there in terms of different steps and hurdles and obstacles I've had to overcome. So there's maybe a small cabin. It may be larger than some of those cabins and some of those houses you see on TV, but this place and all, it's only going to be about 500 square feet, and the price tag is small, very small, sometimes smaller than some of those places you see on the TV. And also too, it's on a beautiful piece of land. Needs a little bit of work here and there, a little bit of clearing, but it's about 2 acres of land. And this foundation is rock solid. So with all that, you guys take care, and I'll be doing another video before too long here. We'll be moving into the inside of the cabin. So, all right. Later. Take care.